Hey, this is Father George Corrigan at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church in Triangle, Virginia, and I'm here to bring you a couple of thoughts for this Sunday. It's about the reading today. That reading, certainly the very classic reading of the rich man, sometimes called Dives, and Lazarus, the beggar, who is at his doorstep. You know, certainly the readings across the first reading, the other readings, are talking about this great, chasm that exists. But it's always been there. Amos in the first reading is railing against the people of Israel, to saying, you ignore the widows, the poor, the orphans, the aliens, and the strangers among you. You see them, but you ignore them. You create this chasm that's always existed. And then at the end of the story, certainly Lazarus goes to his fate into the bosom of Abraham, and the rich man goes to his fate, kind of a fiery hell kind of a scene, where there is a great chasm between the two. But it's not new. It's existed in life. It's what the church has always said: a religion without justice is an affront to God, and it is just a precursor of what your afterlife is going to be like. I've heard many homily where somebody said, well, the real sin is that the rich man, ignored completely Lazarus. Well, they say he didn't even know his name. Yeah, he did know his name. He basically said, Abraham, send Lazarus over here to, give me a splash of water, if you will. So I would say the sin is not that he didn't notice. The sin was this complete lack of empathy. The rich in Amos's time had no empathy for the poor. The rich man has no empathy for Lazarus. And maybe sometimes that's our disease in this modern age. The sin we have, we can name, it's called kind of a lack of empathy. Because it's that thing that causes us to withhold help, even withhold a smile or a kind word, a touch. Those moments in which we could be the presence of Christ to another one, we don't connect, we withhold. If I had a video, in the church, I would totally not do a homily. I would show this video, and I'll put the link in below this. It's a video from Cleveland Clinic. It's this thing that in which we are called to be observant, to look, to connect, and to be the people that notice and have empathy, and be kind of that miracle for the one around them. And there's not a word spoken in this video. It's probably about 5 minutes long. And it's in a hospital. Someone's being wheeled in, and there's this fear that they waited too long to make this appointment. As someone walks out with this great relief because his wife's surgery was just a success. 3 people in an elevator. One is just the joy. He's going to be a new dad. Another person, just uncertain diagnosis, and they're kind of worried about things. There's a woman with an IV drip, 29 days waiting for a new heart. There's a couple talking in the cafeteria. You can see there's their pain. Well, their son's on life support. There's someone coming up the escalator with that joy that the tumor was benign, and the one right behind him is the tumor was not benign. There's a woman just too shocked to understand what her treatment options were. She's still reeling with the diagnosis. There's a mom and a daughter walking to go see the husband, dad in the hospital. It'll be their last visit. He's not expected to survive. Someone 7,000 miles from home alone. How are they going to deal with this? How am I going to pay for this? There are these incredible single moments where when you look, you can read the people, and there's a story unspoken behind each person. It's there for the asking. So there are these single moments at prayer, at work, at school, text, video, chat, whatever we do, that we are called to people to connect, to notice, to be empathetic as we can. And yes, we are busy people with limited time, limited patience, but God calls us to none of that. What we are called is to love and to enter into other people's lives, to touch, maybe shed a tear with them, speak a word, to be Christ for them. Because empathy is that great bridge across all these chasms of life. Empathy is the start of love of God and love of neighbor. And so as you go through this week, be attentive to all around you. These moments that you can be Christ for another in just a simple word of an acknowledgement, a word, a simple thing, I will pray for you. And may you have a week that crosses the great chasms that we've all built in our life. God bless. And that is a Sunday thought. Amen.